turning in a project, turning in this project. If you were going through this workflow, you need to realize that all your textures and everything are in different locations on your hard drive. And if I do not mention it, if I do not say anything about turning in a project, you will probably be under the assumption that if you go to File, Save, Scene As, that turning that in is going to be enough, but it's not. So, we have to learn where the textures are. That's the whole thing. Let's go to Hypershade. There are 3 textures here. And if you double click on them, it'll bring up the properties over here, and you can see these are on my hard drive somewhere. They are in Images, Untitled Files, UV Check, Flattened, Diffuse. There was a time when I set up a project, when I went in here and I physically set project, and I made that into a folder called Milk. Because of that, it saved everything into the Images directory. Now let's go look at that. Desktop. Let's go to Milk, Images, Untitled Files, and sure enough, there is my specular, normal map, and diffused. They're in TIFF format, and I do not want that. I do not want TIFFs. So, we're going to resave out this project. We're going to clean it up. We're going to make it all nice and neat. Okay. Here's how I would clean up a scene in order to send it to a project manager. First thing I would do is go File, Export Selection. Everything's highlighted right now. And I go like this. Okay, I just basically have a folder called Jason Welsh Jug on the hard drive, and I'm going to call this Jug. What did that do? Well, that exported everything. If you now look at desktop, there is a Jug, and it has an OBJ file, and it has these. What's an OBJ? An OBJ is a file that has clean data. So when I went export selection, notice I had OBJ highlighted. Very clean data. Okay. Now I just need to convert these over to TGA. Do that in Photoshop. Okay. Now we're going to name this. This is my spectral map. So I'm going to actually call this Jug underscore spec and call it a TGA. Let's say the client's asking for TGA. 24-bit pixel. Okay, the normal map does have information on it. It's really faint, but it does have information. So save as. Here's TGA. I'm just going to click on Jug and name this NM for normal map. Then I'm going to go to Diffuse and go do the same thing. TGA. And this one is CM for color map. Now every company probably has their own acronym or way of like tagging files, but for me this is the one I've been using for years and it works out quite well. Okay, so now I can go in, make a new scene. I will set the project to desktop, Jason Walsh Jug, set, create default workspace. I'll go File, Import, and I'll import my OBJ. I'll hit 6 on the keyboard, and notice what happened. A lot of the information just came along for the ride. In fact, if you look over here, I have these files. If double clicked, I get these. But I didn't get my normal map, and I'll have to go get that. The TIFFs are useless now, and I can delete them. Okay, let's drag my normal map in. Double click on that. And for each one of these, I just want to make sure these are the normal map TGAs, or just the TGAs, not the TIFFs. So for the specular, just go like that and switch it out. And for the color map, same thing. So now, each time I click on these, look at, this is the information that needs to be put in there, and that's it. This is, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to delete it. There we go. Okay, let's go to materials. Let's double click on this one. I like the material name, but not really. I want to call it milk jug. Okay, and then I'll go like this and click this middle, and this will launch the tree. I'm not sure how this is attached. I don't really like that. I like the color. That's good. But really, I'm just trying to lean this up. So the color, I know that came in real well. Oop. Let me go get my specular map. There we go. So let's attach these the correct way. So here's this color map. The normal map, middle mouse button, click and drag over to the ball and attach it to bump. It's going to give you 2 nodes. The checker one, you go to TGA or Targa, tangent space normal, sorry. And then the specular, middle mouse button, click and drag it over to the ball, and you choose specular color. Okay, let's go look at that under high quality rendering. And there we go. So what's the difference? Well, look at the scene. I mean, really, if you go into the background of things like the hypergraph hierarchy, you'll find that there's a lid, handles, very clean texture, very clean material. Everything's so clean. And now I can go File, Save Scene As, and save it onto my Jug desktop and call this Milk Jug. And continue. So after you clean up your scene, you should have something in your folder that looks a lot like this. Right. You got your OBJ, in case the client wants that. You got your specular color maps, and you got your Maya file. Now before, what you had was this. Images, jug files, keyboard, all this junk. It's huge. Too much junk. This is correct. Alright, now to turn this in, you would first off make this whatever you want to call it. I like first name, last name, whatever it is. And if it doesn't allow you to rename it, you're going to have to close it out of Maya. And if it doesn't let you remind or actually rename it, best not to rename it. Right click on it and just say send to compressed zip folder. Alright. On the zip file, you can actually name it whatever you want. So as an instructor, I'm going to get this thing, I'm going to right click on it, I'm going to say, well, extract. And then I'm going to go up to wherever it went, get in here, and I'm going to find the MB file, the color map, normal map, and specular map, the OBJ, and I'll be able to double click the MB file, and it should load correctly with all the textures without everything. So that is the correct way to turn in work. Make sure it opens. Make sure it opens on another computer. Alright, so sorry to keep preaching about that, but really it's the most missed thing by students. Students do amazing work, but they can't turn in any work to anybody professional at all. So I'm trying to rectify that. Enjoy.